So we are excited. You'll hear a little bit about this tonight, but since you all were with us last year, we have completely new audio video capabilities in this theater. So this wonderful spotlight, which is very bright, and also what you will be seeing behind me in a moment. You know, a couple of years ago, when we printed the agenda, the program for tonight, we said, in memoriam, Greg Peterson. And that did confuse some people. I did not expect that. So you will notice in tonight, it is presented by Greg Peterson to remove any confusion. So Greg, if you would please come to the podium.
When I read that a few years ago, I was equally confused. I was kind of curious who would get up and talk. As Phil Nelbone, chairman of the board, indicated, that recently here, my lovely wife, Cindy, and children held a 75th birthday celebration for me. It was cool. It was nice. And I just want to be public about this right now. And for those who sent gifts in my honor, I graciously thank you. For those who sent gifts in my memory, they are being returned. This is the 25th anniversary of the Robert H. Jackson Center, and many of you people have been part of it really from the beginning. And if I call out names, I will embarrass myself, which I can do. But really, thank you. It's a deep, heartfelt thank you. But it's just this time of year where I like to pause and just reflect on a few folks that you may not know, but who are intimately involved in some aspect of the center, because it's upon those people's shoulders that we stand to have the opportunity to be here tonight to this really full house. And first name you probably will not know, but he was one of our early advocates in Erie. Dr. Frank Tews passed away this year. Frank Tews, a World War II veteran, but he was there, and I interviewed him as part of the Robert H. Jackson Center Defenders of Freedom program, where we interviewed over 350 World War II veterans. But his quick bio called his last day in the Pacific, he was on ship with Ernie Pyle. And that day he had breakfast with him at the same table, and that afternoon Ernie Pyle went ashore and now he was killed. And so he told that story, and it's on YouTube. Another person I want to remember who was part of the, if you may recall, even this insignia up here, is part of the Scottish Rite Consistory. The Masons were the people who sold us to it. The Scottish Rite Consistory sold us to it. And one of the leaders of the group who was part of that is Rennie Nelson. Now, you may know Rennie if you're a Mason, long-standing police officer, but his son, Tom, has been intimately involved in the mock trial, and on behalf of the Robert H. Jackson Center, we have a Robert H. Jackson Cup, and Frewsburg, the home of Robert H. Jackson, wins every year. They do have competition. And another person who was long-standing, for those who were around for a long time, was Jim Aurea. Jim, and I'm sure I'm looking at Raleigh right now, and Jim was an incredible individual, a docent, historian, and one of the guys you'd really like to curry up favor with and be close to when you came in here. Another person who passed away, who was this building right here, day one, literally day one, sitting right over there, when we were talking with Carl Kappa and Betty Linnae about the possibility of buying this building, a possibility of renovating. This is nowhere near what it used to be. There was no air conditioning, the sound system was horrific, but the guy who really led us through that whole problem was Don Blomquist. Don Blomquist passed away, and again, worked close, glove in hand with Raleigh. Another person who gave us money for the construction early on, who kind of did it way under the radar screen, was a guy named Gary Lynn. and he passed away. We have several people from Chautauqua Institution here, and several people know and enjoy the International Humanitarian Law Dialogue, now known as the Italian International Humanitarian Law Roundtable, but two people who became really involved at Chautauqua as volunteers, drivers to get all those prosecutors here. They passed away, Jack Crowley and Sid Lyon. I just want to remember them. Another person who passed away was our Chautauqua County Clerk, Larry Barmore. Larry Barmore, what did he do? He was intimately involved with a lady named Michelle Henry, and they did something which is really unique. They, in fact, were the people who got New York State grants to dig in and to digitize all of Robert H. Jackson's files that are in Chautauqua County Clerk's office. Who knew? So if you're curious about how did Jackson write, when he was private practice, they're buried in Mayville, New York, and it was Larry and Michelle who really got them in a process of digitization. I know we've got some good Swedish friends here, and one of the persons who behind the scenes was very helpful was a Duran Peterson. Duran funded a booklet, which Jackson, I know he's not Swedish, we claim him, but he wrote several articles for the Norden Club on the history of Swedish ancestry, not only here, but elsewhere. And it was Duran, and I'm sure Hans, when you're here, you guys were all part of that funding process. A story, I'm going to tell a story and pause and reflect and memorialize an individual. When we had the chance to get and to really put ourselves on the map, you know, those from Chautauqua know the big deal was to get President Ulysses Grant to Chautauqua in 1875. We started here in 2001. Our goal was to get something that was a big wow. So what's the biggest wow there is in the Jackson biography? But Chief Justice William Rehnquist, who was a clerk for Robert H. Jackson. You don't get any bigger than that. And as Stan and Raleigh and others would know, it's a huge get. Well, it turned out after a few well-placed phone calls and a letter and a response saying from the Chief Justice directly himself, we have it in the files, said, yeah, I would be interested in doing it. It would be appropriate for me to honor my boss, the facility, which there is no other like it. And he said he had one requirement because he had a very serious back, that he needed to come up on a private jet. Now, of course, he said, is that okay? And what are you going to say? Yes, that's okay. Now what? You go back and you say, what am I going to do to find a jet to go to Washington to get the jet? So as would have it, baseball intervenes throughout my life anyways. We were part of the Rich Baseball Enterprises. We were known as the Jamestown Jammers, for those who remember. And the number 2 guy in that whole operation was John Dandies. John Dandies, I saw him at the ballpark. I knew the Riches had a jet. And the next thing you know, I asked John, do you think your boss, Bob Rich Sr. or Bob Rich Jr. might permit us to use that? I mean, like, what the hell? Just to ask him for the jet. And so John took it back, and as would have it, he did. They agreed, and now I could check the box, and we had Rehnquist here, and that really launched us. And that's John Dandies, who passed away this year. And John, well, we'll go through the postscript. Also, we want to pause and reflect on a tragic thing. One of our board members, John Lamacuso, Judge John Lamacuso, City of Jamestown judge, who unfortunately lost his son, 10 years old, and Johnny. And so I just want to make sure we memorialize that, because John and John's family, the Lamacusos, have been very, very instrumental in supporting us. Finally, as my wife constantly reminds me, it's the women behind us guys that make it all happen, and we'd be nothing but them. And there were 2 folks who passed this year that were instrumental and were the forces, the wind behind the guys who really are helpful to us. One is Mary Gerasi, the wife of Judge Joe Gerasi. And trust me, she was a terrific force and an influence. And Judge Gerasi, who's still alive, was very much a part of us when we got going and continues to be a great supporter. And right over here is Ed Tomasini. And Ed Tomasini, I will get emotional, so hang with me, has been with us since day one, for 25 years, and has been with us nonstop. He's filming us. You'll see some of that. And his wonderful, darling, supportive wife, Deb, passed away this year. And I know, Ed, we give you virtual hugs, but that's something I want to make sure. Again, our goal here is to make sure we memorialize those who've supported us as well. Finally, I'm going to show a video, and I don't know, we're going to pull up the curtain at this point. A little backstory. A couple years ago, we honored a couple folks. Phil Donahue, who is very much at this stage, very much part of our world, and Phil, very much a force of nature. And I think we did 4, maybe 5 events with Phil. And he continued to become friends with Mark Russell. So there was a piece that was shown recently on part of our 25th anniversary done by Kenny McDonald. Kenny, are you here? Kenny, put this together. There we go. Thank you very much. I thought that was just the perfect way to end the 25th anniversary, to show a little bit about, and it's just short, 2 individuals from 2 disparate locations who came to celebrate Robert Jackson and to celebrate the Robert H. Jackson Center, of which we all are a part. With that, we'll show this.
Robert Jackson, speaking for the majority, offered us this wonderful, wonderful passage. If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in religion, nationalism, politics, or any other matter of opinion, nor may he force to confess by word or act a belief therein.
When Phil Donahue was at the Jackson Center a few months ago, and he spoke eloquently about some of these cases, he focused on the Jehovah's Witness case, West Virginia Board of Education versus the Barnett sisters. And Phil Donahue quoted Justice Jackson, and we have to hang on to something, and he called it a fixed star. That's it. You got to hang on to something. A fixed star in our constitutional constellation, and I thought, well, I'm gonna memorize it like Phil did because it's so profound. And with your permission, I'd like to sing it as well. I got a piano here. If there is any fixed star, if there is any fixed star, if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, or religion, or any matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or by act their faith therein.